Okay, let's invite Lewis on. Okay. Hi, Lewis.
Hello, we're back. We made it.
We're back. Sorry, we're really late because we've had some difficult technical problems because I am not the best when it comes to technology. And I thought you were going to rescue me and give me loads of solutions, and you never
Uh,
did.
I did not come bearing solutions today, sorry.
Well, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
My
This
pleasure.
is Lewis. He is an amazing coach. You've coached me in a group setting before. You've got an amazing conscious community that you help people with all kinds of things that they come to you with, like mindset, men and women, mindset, health, well-being, their business issues. So first of all, can I just ask you, Lewis, how you got into this work?
Uh, why I got into it
Yeah.
comes from like childhood stuff. So your pain creates purpose. Pain is purpose, wounds is wisdom. So I had a lot of pain around my mental and emotional health when I was younger. I got diagnosed with Asperger's, ADHD, autism, and I really struggled with my mind and with my emotions. Had my own trauma growing up. So that was where the passion and purpose of it comes from. Logistically, how I got into it, I started in the fitness industry, and as a lot of achievers out there, I started to chase goals or try to achieve goals to impress people. So I tried to do it for my dad, to prove that I was enough to him and the world, and ultimately myself. And I got into the fitness industry and worked really hard, opened up 3 gyms by the age of 23. But I was just like very much go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. And I was doing it out of insecurity, not inspiration. And I got into self development, Tony Robbins, seminars, podcasts, books, programs, and like once you like taste it, like you get so addicted to it. Well, I did anyways. And yeah, just it. I guess I followed my inspiration. I followed what I was curious by. I followed what was inspiring to me, and that led me into NLP. That led me into DeMartini. That led me into hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, breath work, holographic, and there's so many other modalities that I've done over the years. And yeah, I've just continually followed my dream, my inspirations. I got clear on purpose. That's something that we teach in the conscious community. And yeah, that I've been on the self growth journey for 10 years now. I've been in business for 10 years and I love it. It's been fun.
Okay, so can you go into it for me? I kind of know this, but for people that are just frustrated with their partners or men that are frustrated, teenage boys, can you kind of explain the biological reason, the genetics around why men do not open up and they find it really hard to communicate their emotions and feelings?
Yeah, I believe it's very much conditioning, whether it's from Hollywood or the movies or just culturally, where men don't cry and showing emotions is weak. I think that they're kind of the big, well, for me, anyways, from my experience and for the people that I work with, it's the concept that showing emotions has weakness to it,
Mhm.
and men need to show their strength and their alphaness and how masculine they are. And I think that just those beliefs is what I guess what results in men not being able to journey within. And I'm not obviously not all of them because there are a lot of men that are doing the inner work, and I'm helping a lot of them as well. But yeah, that's generally where it comes from. But to be honest, I actually view things completely the opposite. I believe it takes true strength to put the walls down. It takes true vulnerability. Well, vulnerability is the pathway to deep connection. So if you truly want to have a deep connection with yourself and then ultimately your partners, your friends, your clients, your family, your children, that requires a level of vulnerability to be yourself, to not have to wear the mask and be Mr. Tough Guy or Tough Gal and actually say, hey, look, I've got problems too. I've got challenges too. I've got imperfections as well. And then that creates a level of authenticity, a level of connection. And yeah, I think it's an absolute strength to be able to have the strength to be vulnerable. But I definitely think it comes from that conditioning of being vulnerable or showing emotions is a weak thing.
So growing up then, um, were you given the space to show these emotions, or was your dad quite an alpha male, very kind of man up, stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry for? Was that the atmosphere that you grew up in?
Yeah, very much so. Like he wasn't very like he. There was definitely mental, emotional, physical
Mm,
abuse in my upbringing. I share that
mm,
quite publicly with my events and my books and my content. But it's like he wasn't like maliciously doing it. It was just him. Like everyone's doing the best what he had, and I could only imagine what his dad was like and the
yeah.
upbringing he had. But yeah, like there wasn't like what are you feeling right now? You feel safe? Do you feel safe to open up? What do you need from me? I never had those types of questions or those types of conversations. Like I felt very scared around my dad. I felt very anxious around my dad. I felt very like I had to be tough. I had to be strong. I had to prove myself to be worthy to him. So yeah, definitely those conversations weren't had for me. So yeah, and that's where I you become who you needed when you're at your lowest,
Yeah.
and that's very much the journey that I'm on to be able to help and give that back to others who, yeah,
So that's where the
give them
high
the things that I
achieving
didn't get.
came from. Sorry, that's where the high achieving came from. Um, so did you feel because you were trying to get your dad's approval and keep and be the good boy so things didn't kick off, did you feel that if you achieved this and you made this much money and you accomplished this, that dad would be proud and it would just keep everything quiet?
Yeah,
And
pretty much. There's I love Tony Robbins. That's where I started my self growth journey. I say Tony Robbins is a gateway drug to self
yeah,
development. So I started with him 10 years ago, and I love his documentary. For people that haven't seen him, go to Netflix and watch the doco. And he says a beautiful question right at the end of the documentary. He says, "What parent did you crave love from the most? Not which one did you get, which one did you want, which one did you crave it from the most?" And for me, it was my dad. And he says, ask the question, who did you need to be for that parent? And for me, it was an achiever. And for me, it was through sport, through rugby league. Then it was through. He never really pushed me into business, but business became the outlet for me to do that. So yeah, obviously I'm talking all in hindsight, but yeah, this was definitely the journey that I went on and I've been on for the last 10 years. I've done a lot of healing on dad, a lot of processing with that stuff. So I do generally feel like I take action now from a place of love and a place of authenticity and a place of inspiration. I still get caught up with comparing myself to others. I'm a human being still,
mhm, mhm.
but I'd say 80 to 90% of my time, it's very much like, what's my mission? What's my purpose? What am I here to do? How can I give my gift to the world? How can I empower people and impact people? Versus like, how do I just achieve as much as I can to prove to my dad that I'm enough for him? But that was my fuel of choice for the first sort of 5 years, 7 years of my journey.
So, okay, what do we need to do as mothers, sisters, partners, wives, girlfriends? What do we need to do to help the men do the work, heal, repair? Because you've seen me spill out all over. You've
Yeah,
seen me cry, snot, tears in one of our sessions. And I find it really, really hard. Even the job that I do and I hold space for others day in, day out. And I get told some horrendous things in my therapy room. But and it's hard for me, and I'm a girl, so it must be really hard for a man that's been indoctrinated into thinking that he can't be open and speak speak into his emotions and try and remedy them. What can we do for men to help them and hold space for them so they feel safe enough to do that?
beautiful, beautiful question. Look, there's two answers to it. Maximum growth occurs on the borderline of support and challenge. You need both. You need support to grow. You need challenge to grow. So it depends on the person. So like I had a question the other day with one of the onboarding calls for the conscious community, and she asked me like, what should I do? And I said, look, I'll give you two answers. I said, one's a supporting question, one's a challenging question. So you need both. So it depends on the person, but the supporting answer is to learn how to create a safe space for the man, or not even the man, not man or woman or human, for the human to feel safe, to be vulnerable. But then the challenging answer to the question is to hold them accountable. Not hold them accountable, say, hey, be vulnerable right now, but it's to say, hey, look, I want to be super vulnerable and honest with you. Something that's really important to me and something that's a non-negotiable for my relationship is that we have a level of vulnerability and depth with our emotions and we share what's on our mind. And I know you're journeying your stuff, I know you're healing, I know you're working through your stuff, but I just want to be super transparent that I want to and I will be with a man or a partner who's okay opening up. Now, I'm not saying you have to do it right here, right now, right this moment, but it is a requirement that my partner does actively work on themselves so we get to a place where we can have safety, we can be vulnerable, we can share what's going on with each other. And then that might require doing some inner work, working with a coach, working with a therapist, working with a counselor. But this is this is again the challenge and answer for us ladies and men out there is you get in life, especially your relationships, what you tolerate. So if you have a stonewalling partner who's just not opening up, you are allowing that. Like you're allowing them to do that. And again, I'm not saying that there's not going to be moments because I still do that too from time to time. But there is an expectation that I have for my wife, and my wife has on me, that we do actively participate in our own rescue. We do help ourselves, whether that's again coaching or courses or programs or whatever that may be. So one side is to hold space and to love your partner who you're with, because everyone's doing the best of what they have from their conditioning, their indoctrinations, and all the things that they've been through. So give them love, give them space, give them empathy, but also challenge them. Because if you just that call I had the other day with this client I'm referring to, I said, look, the soft answer is, she's like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to work on myself. I'm not sure if I'm ready for it. I said, look, the soft answer is do it when you feel ready for it. Take your time, no rush. You're perfect. You're doing the best of what you have. Perfect. But what if that continues forever and you never change? So then the challenging answer is sometimes you just got to fucking face it. You just got to grow the courage, take a breath, lean into the discomfort, and fucking face it. So for the men and women, sometimes it's having the courage to, you know what, even though I'm scared as fuck and I'm super overwhelmed and my nervous system is dysregulated. I remember I had a really vulnerable conversation with my wife probably 6 months ago now, and I'd done something. I'd lied to her about something, and I was hiding something from her. And we literally were just watching a movie, and I thought of it. We were just watching the movie and I thought of it. And I instantly started getting anxious and I'm taking my own medicine. I'm like, fuck, I've got to tell her this. I can't keep suppressing this. I can't keep suppressing this. But I'm going to hurt her. It's going to kick something off. There's going to be a fucking argument. There's blah, blah, blah. And I literally shot to the bathroom to like go to take a piss, nervous wee to get the wee out. And I was like, I just did it. And I literally sat back down and like she's watching the movie. She just doesn't even know what's going on. I'm like shaking on the fucking couch. I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this. Like, if I don't do this, this is going to kill this relationship long term. It needs to happen. And I literally in my head went 3, 2, 1, babe, I need to share something with you. And I just like, and then I started crying. Tears flowed heaps in that
That's
conversation.
what they're there
And it's
for.
like, that's what they're there for, right? And it's like that just required courage. And it's like you could say, "Oh, it's okay. You don't have to share right now. Do it when you're ready." Well, that can be dissociating and hiding from the challenge of the courage needed. So, yeah. So, long answer to your question is, ladies and men, hold your partner or friends or family or loved ones accountable on both sides. Give them love, give them space, give them empathy of what they need to feel safe enough, but also challenge them. Because if they're like, oh, I just don't feel safe, you could say that in every single situation for the rest of your life. When is it going to be on you to take some courage to just fucking lean in, even if you don't feel safe? So there's obviously grey areas within that, but both sides do both, and you'll find your way to
And
figure that out.
like, there's nothing more attractive than a healed man. Like, my new like mantra now is, would I be happy with my precious daughter dating this guy in front
Yeah,
of me? If the answer's no, he ain't good enough for me either, because he's going to be in her life in the future. If he's doing the work, if he's balanced, if he's,
yeah,
just even trying, that's a start.
yeah,
And women cannot open up in any way, physically, mentally, intimately, if they do not feel safe and secure with a man.
yeah,
We have to feel secure, protected, safe. That's a man's job, to protect
yeah,
us, for us to feel safe so we can open up. So, I think for me, a situation came up a couple of years ago when my last relationship, and my partner was really struggling with something. He had a problem at work, and I was rushing off, had to do the school run, and I just said to him, instead of pestering him, I just said, what do you need from me? What can I do? Can I do anything? Do you need me? And because if you pester and you hound them and you peck at them, woomph, that's it, you've lost it. So I'm on the phone, I'm in the car, ring me when you're ready and we'll talk about it. What can I do for you? What do you need from me? I feel that gets you the best result instead of nagging and pestering.
yeah. The question I like to use is, do you need more support, challenge from me right now? So, do you need more support, more love, more empathy, more understanding, or do you need more challenge? Because sometimes you need both. Sometimes you need more challenge, and sometimes it's, hey, just hold me. did it with my wife, I think last week. She's improving her health, working on her health, and she's trying this new eating program and training program. I said, what do you need from me? Do you need more support with this, or do you need more challenge with this? And she said, challenge. Just challenge me to it, hold me accountable to what I say I want. And I said, perfect. And then we go from there. So I totally agree with what you said.
So I've had many clients come to me. First of all, like some women come for stopping smoking. This seems to be a bit of a theme. Women come for stopping smoking, and actually, the root cause of the anxiety to need to smoke is the relationship. So
Yeah.
we need to sort the relationship out before we stop them from smoking, because they're going to the cigarettes and the food and the alcohol because they're anxious, and then they're trying to numb out the feelings from the dysfunctional
Yeah.
relationship. Now, a couple of times this has happened where the women are doing the work and the men have said to their partners or wives, I would rather die than sort my issues out. So the last guy that said this to my client in front of me, he's going to lose his home because it's her house. He's going to lose his stepchildren. He's going to lose everything because he would rather die than come to therapy. And do you know what amazes me? My clients are really disappointed when their sessions are over because they love coming. It's not all heavy. Sometimes you have a laugh. Sometimes you can see the funny side of things, like, what is this life? What is this ball of fun that we're living on? But actually, the result they get after that, it heals their work relationships. They make more money in their business. They have better sex. Their kids are happy. Just everything flourishes, and everyone around them changes because energy is contagious. And just, I don't know about you, but when I see clients, I, even after like the first or second session, even after in the same session, they change colour. Like their skin changes colour because they can be grey, rigid, cold, stiff. Their energy's off. And as soon as the session's over, or when they come back the following week, their energy, their aura's brighter, you know. And I just think, how can you not want this? Yes, sometimes it can be difficult, easier when you're in a relaxed state and you trust that therapist. But I just think you do not know what you're missing on the other side of this healing. You've paused. Sorry if we've paused. I've got full bars. I don't think it's me. Oh, I'm really sorry if this has paused for you. Sorry, guys, it's pausing. Let me invite Lewis back on. Oh,
Better?
sorry, you paused. I don't know if that
Yeah.
was me or you, so sorry about
Uh,
that.
I think it was mine. Mine just shut down. I'm like, oh shit. So um, I could hear you the whole time though. So I was listening to you the whole time. Um,
The
so yeah,
transformation, we're talking about the transformation and what's on the other side of this healing. And it
yeah.
can be fun. It can actually be fun.
Yep, 100%. Was there any question that you've got off the back end of it?
No, I just basically, obviously you see the same thing in your clients I see in mine. This is why we do what we do, because literally I'll be finishing a session and I can be absolutely buzzing and sometimes not sleep from the results that we get. And this is why we do what we do. We know what we're doing. We've seen thousands of people. We can hold space for people. We know how to push the right buttons. So for me, what words of encouragement have you got for the men out there that are really scared to do the work? I'm just going to close the door because dog's barking. 1 minute.
No, you're good. You're good. Look, my answer to your question is the resistance that you're avoiding is the same thing that's keeping you stuck. So wherever
Yes.
you have resistance, judgment, triggers, things you're not addressing, you're suppressing, you're hiding from, that's the very same thing that's keeping you where you are in life with your relationships, with your finances, with your business, with your happiness, with your fulfillment. So the treasure is buried where you're not looking. That's a very used quote. So yeah, I guess whatever you're wanting, whether it's more better sex, better intimacy, better success with your business, happiness, fulfillment, whatever it is that you're looking for,
Mm,
it is on the other side of the resistance that you're avoiding. So just whether that's worth it to you or not, that if you have the courage to lean into that or not, that's up to you. But you don't have to. No one has to do their own work. I recommend that you do because I believe there's so much love and growth and joy on the other side of it. But you got to have that courage to lean into it.
it's interesting because when I've like had like disagreements with men especially, I can see from their body language, their behavior, and even their tone of voice what age they are when they are in the trauma. So they actually respond from that age, and I think, oh, 15, you know, like how they speak, and like the
Yeah,
voice completely changes back into the child's self.
yeah,
And I think, oh, that's
yeah.
interesting, you know. So doing the work, it never ends, does it? It
No,
never ends.
no. Yeah, I you can completely heal through specific wounds and triggers and limiting beliefs, but there's always more. And for people that don't agree with that, I talk about three things all the time: trauma, coping mechanisms, and triggers. A trauma is the moment in time when something was too much or not enough.
Mm,
It'll be a specific behavior, a trait, something someone did or didn't do something that was too much or not enough. The coping mechanism is what you do with it. Smoking's one of them, anxiety's one of them, people pleasing, overworking, overachieving, drug, alcohol, all the stuff. So there's many coping mechanisms, and then third's a trigger. A trigger reminds you of the trauma and activates the coping strategy. Now, if people say I've got no trauma, show me where a single human that's never triggered. People say I've got no fucking trauma. I'm like bullshit. Just tell me when you got triggered last. What's someone that you don't like? Why don't you like them? And I can just find the resistance, tune into it, find out what's playing out for them, and then if they want to lean into it, obviously you help them lean into it. But yeah, everyone that there will never be no triggers. There will always be more. But you can obviously do a lot of the heavy lifting. Like I've done hundreds of different processes on myself over the years. So I would say I'm a tenth as triggered as I used to be, but I still get triggered. I still have judgments. I still have resentments. I still have triggers that play out.
mm,
And life, you will attract people and circumstances to reveal where you have not healed. And that's where you get triggered, you resent, you have a reflection of someone that you don't like or something that just triggers you.
mm,
That's the gift. That's the awareness. That's the opening. So
mm.
your triggers reveal where you get to heal. So when you get triggered, don't go unconscious, don't project, don't blame. Take, okay, what just revealed, because nothing triggers you, it reveals what's inside of you. When you get triggered, okay, what is this revealing within me? What's the trait? What's the behavior? What's the limiting belief that's being challenged right now? And then tune into that with the right processes to then work through that. And then that same stimulus or that same thing won't trigger you anymore.
Yeah. And it's about time we had all this in school
Yep.
instead of learning the bullshit that we don't need anymore.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
our basic fundamental human need is to be able to self-soothe
Yep.
using your breath, using certain techniques, even
Yep.
EFT tapping. That's easy for kids to do.
Yep.
You know, it needs to be taught in schools and in an open space where it's just normal for us to go out into breakout rooms and you know, I don't know, just have a relaxation room that if everything's getting too much, you can go into that space and you have someone there full time. Like there's a school in Bali that I put Isla in when we went last year, and there was this room and it had like essential oils, it had a teacher that was employed full time, it had bean bags, it had cards on the table. It was absolutely epic. There's none of that here. I've offered my services free of charge to schools to do clinics for the teachers, the staff, the kids, the parents, and it's crickets. I don't hear anything back. And I'm like, the solution is here. You're not taking the solution, but you've got all these anxious kids, you know, and the diagnosis for ADHD is going through the roof at the moment. this is absolutely essential to keep young kids out of prison, because in the prisons it's predominantly boys, isn't it? Because they can't manage their emotions, so they lash out. This has to happen at grassroots across the board, everywhere. So, okay, what else have I got to ask you? So, and like healing, it takes many different forms. So you can actually go regulate your nervous system in the gym by throwing some weights around. You can
Yep.
go, you know, that is the masculine energy. But doing some breath work and communication and journaling, there's so much you don't have to go spend a load of money if you're on a budget. You can go onto YouTube. I mean, Gabor Mate is one of my absolute favorite humans on the planet, because when you know why you behave the way you do, it's like sunshine. Everything just flourishes, because like I use astrology as well. I think we're all born with this imprint, this barcode, where the planets are aligned when we're born. They're your personality traits. So you cannot be an apple if you're an orange. You know, I think just work with what you've got, accept yourself the way that you are. Don't be anything different from what you are, but just accept all those flaws and work on them. You know, play life, the game of life, with the hand of cards that you dealt with. You know.
I agree. Is there any question off that?
Yeah, yeah. So what's your routine then? What's your daily routine to help you keep you balanced?
Look, I look to my values. That's something that obviously I'm very big on. Low self-worth is feedback you're not prioritizing your values and living to your values. So
Yeah.
I know who I am. I know what lights me up. I know my purpose. I know my vision. I know what I'm here to do, and what fulfills me. So, and I'm building and living a life congruent with that. So I feel inspired most days. I have moments like we all do, but I'm a human. But um, it's there's sort of comment on what you're talking about. There's many different ways to heal.
Mm.
There's different modalities for different bodies. So there's the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, the physical body, and the energetic body. So depending where your trauma is stored or whatever wounds you want to heal through or whatever needs to be addressed, you just use the relevant tool to tackle the relevant body. So if you've got like stored emotions in your physical body, somatic stuff, then you want a somatic tool to address that. If you've got
Mm-hmm.
like trauma or limiting beliefs, a mental tool is going to help you with that. If you've got suppressed emotions, you want an emotional tool, etc. So for me, I guess my daily practice is I train every morning. Not every morning, most mornings I train. I eat relatively clean. I get good sleep. My bedtime is 8:30. I'm in bed by 8:30 most nights. I'm up pretty early. I honestly live into my values, knowing who I am, and being that version of me helps significantly, because by the amount of stress and pressure people put on themselves to be someone else, to wear a mask, to perform every day, to prove themselves is fucking exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I feel pretty good just by being that. I constantly do my own work, so I meditate every day. That's a practice that I do every day. I whenever I talk about this in the conscious community a fair bit. Once you find the trigger or you find the belief, the work's actually easy. As long as you got the tools, as long as you have the tools of how do I get rid of limiting beliefs, how do I heal trauma. When you know have the tools in your pockets in your toolkits, then you just find them. Finding them is the hard part. So once I find them, once I become aware of mine, I meditate on them, and I know my tools well enough where I can start to process it in my own time, in my own head. When I start, obviously, I write it down. I use the spreadsheets and I use the tools that I have in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I regularly go to events, I go to programs, I go to courses. I do, fuck, this year's been huge. I probably did a little bit too much this year, but I think I did close to 20 different events this year. And some of those events were 6 days long, 4 days long, 5 days long, 3 days long. Three of them were certifications. I did breath work, DMartini, and holographics. So by doing and learning more tools, you have to obviously apply the tool before you obviously get to be certified in it. So I'm constantly upskilling myself through that. And honestly, living life. Like people, again, what I was talking about before, the trigger reveals where you haven't healed. So if you just see that your triggers as the opening, as the awareness of where you get to integrate a little bit more, just wait till you get triggered. And where will you get triggered the most? Your intimate relationships, because they're the biggest mirror to you. So my gorgeous wife, we get to help each other heal because we are going to mirror things back to each other that we haven't healed yet. And with the right awareness and consciousness and tools, we then get to integrate those parts of ourselves. So, yeah, that's, I guess, living life, taking my own medicine, using my own tools, going to more people. Gabor Mate, you said it before. I held the book up, but I don't think you saw it, so I've got his book here. So constantly learning, growing. Yeah, that's the stuff that I do.
So, and every time that you've handled a situation like in the home in the right way, in the healthy way, then that obviously creates neural pathways, and that's that pattern, and it resolves conflict, and you get a better outcome, so you know you're going
Yeah,
to do it again. There's no point in
yeah,
screaming and shouting at each other. That does nothing. Just triggers all your childhood shit,
yeah,
and it doesn't resolve anything. Just builds resentment, and then so if you're doing things in the right way, you're going to just have better relationships all around. The more you practice that, the easier it
yeah.
becomes. So, what when I've asked you this question before, but like a lot of guys, like I don't know if you have Andy's Man Club in Australia, but there's men's groups and men in
Okay.
sheds, things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, we got heaps.
But a lot of men just think that is, oh my God, cringe. I'm not going to that. But like I said, how have you handled in the past when friends have taken the piss out of you?
I got like I went through this like by trial by fire. So I like experienced this pretty hectic because I was in high school when I started my journey. So I was going to seminars. I was reading books. I started network marketing. That was actually where I first started my journey. So the pyramid schemes. So I have no issue with the name of the company. I was in Herbalife when I first started,
Mm.
and that's a pretty big one, and it had a mixed reputation 10 years ago. I don't know if it still does, but like I was in year 12. I was part of I have a sports background, so I was playing rugby league or rugby, and I was in year 12 at the time. So I walked into, I remember I posted my first video ever. It took me like an hour to film a 30-second video because I was so scared and cared about people's opinions. And the next day I walk into school, Mr. Motivation, here he is. How are we? How's your goals going today? And I just absolutely got smashed like for the whole rest of my year 12. So I got exposed to it pretty hectic, and I just exposure therapy just to get over it pretty quick. The wounds were still there, the triggers were still there, but honestly, just doing the processes on what we've been talking about, going through work, doing NLP, work on yourself, doing the inner work helps with that. Um, like as cliche as it is, like when the why is big enough, that the how becomes easy. Like I
Yeah.
got pretty clear that I didn't want to have a life like my parents. I wanted to have freedom. I wanted to have impact. I wanted to have a life that I loved. I didn't want to work a job that I fucking hated. And that was I wanted to prove to my dad I was enough. That was the fuel source back then. And yeah, I got around a mentor. So I found a mentor when I was pretty young, when I was 18, and he helped significantly with that part. So that's the environment's going to change you the most. Fastest way to change your life, change your environment,
Environment's
change where you're at.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely. From the
get
clutter in your house, yeah, it's environment's everything. People, energy is everything. People around you,
yeah.
absolutely. So, um, I get frustrated sometimes. You're the only guy that's agreed to. Well, I've contacted so many people over the last few months to come and do this live with me, from high profile sports people to facilitators at men's clubs to I've contacted everyone, even hypnotherapists, male hypnotherapists and coaches. They've all gone, yeah, I'll do that, and this is what they do for a living and promote, and they've ghosted me. And I'm like, I don't understand. We need to get the message out there. So thank you so much for actually coming on and talking about this stuff and owning it and saying that you do the work as well, because it would mean so much to people if these high end rugby players, football players, boxers came forward and said that they had therapy. There's no there's no high profile athlete that says, yeah, I have hypnotherapy to make sure that I win that trophy. No one comes forward and talks about this stuff. It used to be back in the day that Americans were the only people that went to see shrink.
Yeah.
But I have coaching. I have coaching from you. I have therapy. I don't know how people get through life without it in this busy, chaotic, fast-paced social media world that we live in. How do you not do the work? I would be a basket case if I didn't do the work. I wouldn't be able to serve my clients. But I think more men need to come forward and earn the fact that they are seeing a therapist, doing the work. They've got a coach. There's, like I've said before, a man that's healed and doing the work, a man that can cry, a man that's in touch with his emotions and can pump iron, there's nothing more attractive. Like, I went out on a girls' night out a few weeks ago, and there was a guy that came over to me, clearly absolutely wrecked off his face, split up with his wife, and was telling me that he tried to take his life loads of times. And I was just like, oh my God. And he was like, will you go out for a drink with me? I was like, absolutely not. But I can send you the number of someone that can help you. You know, I would just run for the hills. But I really want to encourage men to come forward and let them know that women find it really sexy.
I agree.
Yeah,
I will. I'm happy to be a beacon for that.
brilliant.
I've posted videos of me crying a fair few times. So I'll sprinkle a little bit more emotion into my content for you.
Yeah, okay, thanks for that. And just one more question before I'm going to let you go. How did you feel after your ADHD diagnosis? Did you feel relieved? Did you think, thank
I got
God,
a
it's
very
not my fault the way my brain works and getting told off at school and stuff like that? Did you feel relieved? Because I'm going through that diagnosis at the moment. And I actually cried tears of joy because I thought, thank God there's an
yeah
explanation. I know it's the buzzword at the moment. I don't think it's a defect. I think it's a difference. And I think half of us
yeah
are that label. But
yeah. I've got quite strong beliefs, so trigger warning, everyone. So I got diagnosed when I was like 4 or 5 years old, with ADHD, autism, and Asperger's, and anxiety later on. So I my definition of ADHD is someone who has a lot of energy and a high sensitivity to boredom. So essentially, when you do something you don't give a fuck about, you get highly distracted and want to do something else. But wherever you have a deficit, you'll have a surplus. So if you've got a deficit somewhere, you'll have a surplus somewhere else. So when you do something that you're highly interested in, something that's a high value of yours or your purpose, you'll be highly fucking focused and interested in it. And guess what success takes in anything? High levels of focus, energy, and output. So I didn't give a shit about a lot of things, so I got easily distracted, but I had really hyper focus in things I did care about. So um, I can't really answer your question because I was quite young when I got it. So my experience of it was because labels are very limiting because you'd understand this in your world. Whatever label you believe or whatever belief you have, you make it true. So if you believe you're not enough, you make it true. If you believe all men are assholes, they're the men you're going to be attracting. If you believe you're not good with money, you're going to make that true. So if you believe you have this condition, you have this disease, you have this disorder, you have this label, you mentally make it true. Your biochemistry changes. There's a book, I think it's in my room, The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. And Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this as well. But your beliefs change who you are biochemically. If you believe you're depressed, if you like sat down and said, I'm depressed and I believe I'm depressed, your chemicals will change. Your beliefs create your biology, the biology of belief. So if you believe you have this thing, this is your limitation and you're fucked essentially because of that. I don't agree with that because it creates a limitation versus, okay, this is a label to describe some of the personality traits and the quirks of who someone is and the tendencies to someone. And if that's the case, how can you have things in place to help someone with those tendencies? I think that's cool. And I think that's okay. But I was so young when I got it. So I got it when I was like 4. So um, I had the limitation because I bought into the limitation. More so from the Asperger's. That was probably the one that got me the most because I thought I was socially anxious, I was socially awkward, I was a very slow learner, I didn't understand social cues, I couldn't make friends, I couldn't communicate properly. So those were the things that really hit me and I struggled with more so because I believed them. So, but then since doing work and reprogramming, rewiring, working through the stuff, it's like many people don't know until I tell them. Like I've had podcasts with people in person. And I tell them on the podcast, like, oh, really? Like the way you met me, the way you spoke to me, I would have never have guessed that. So yeah, well, I've done a fucking lot of work on it because I don't subscribe to that belief anymore. So yeah, off tangent. I didn't like, I found out so young, so I can't really say how it affected me when I found out. I don't have that memory for you, but that's my experience of it.
Again, it's playing with the cards that you dealt with. And like I said, it's not a defect, it's a difference. And I can get shitloads done because I am often up here. Like, my energy is very airy, it's up here. So, and like you, I speak very quickly and I get shit done.
Yeah.
So that to me, I'm going to use that as a superpower. It's not going to define me. It's, you know, it's annoying because I don't finish things, and often I'm chasing my tail and the house is an absolute shit tip, even though I've been tidying all day long and I'm like, rah.
Yeah.
But you know, I see the traits in other people now. So, but again, it's all about the game of life and playing the game of life with what you dealt with. I
Yeah.
100%. Now then, so you have got some in-person events coming up, and you've just released your first book. Is that right?
Yes, book
Congratulations.
went live. Thank you very much. Went live about a month ago. So here it is.
Yeah.
The Inspired Life Method. So yeah, went live about a month ago.
And you dig really deep as well. You're a little bit like me. You will dig the shit out and you will clear it up, and you will, you know, poke the bear where other people are fluffy. You just get straight to it. So
Yeah.
this is why I like working with you so much.
My
So
pleasure.
where can everyone find you? Obviously you're here on Instagram. So you do like live little coachings on your Instagram side. I'd
Yeah.
encourage anyone to go listen to Lewis. This is how I found you on Instagram, because you're just out there spreading the word. You know, I can tell you, like me, if you didn't get paid for this, you'd do it anyway,
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, and that's purpose. Its purpose is what drives you intrinsically, regardless of what happens externally. But obviously, we live in a world where you pay rent with money. So if that changes one day, I may stop making money. But for
Yeah.
now, I will continue to make money. But yeah, if to find my services, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I've got a website. Just type in my name. If you go to Amazon, type in my name, the book should come up. But yeah, I've got a podcast, I've got a book, I've got a conscious community. I'm about to start running in-person events next year. I do live videos, as you said. I normally just come on and just answer questions and rip people to pieces, but and have a bit of fun with it. But yeah, I do those about 5 times a week. So they're random. They're not set times. Just do it when it makes sense to me. So normally in the morning for me, which is like 7 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's when I normally go live. But that changes depending what's on my schedule. So if you catch me, I'll see you on there.
Okay, amazing. Again, thank you so much. Love the work that you're doing, and really, really appreciate you, Lewis. And thanks so much for coming on.
Thank
And I will see
you.
you in a coaching call.
Awesome. Can't wait. I'll see you then.
Lots of love. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.